How you doing?
Much better than I was an hour ago.
What happened an hour ago?
Well, maybe it was more than an hour. I'm not to go with the time.
Like milk sickness?
Yeah. I didn't realize it would hurt so much because I've eaten, I think this is my fourth time explaining this tonight, I've eaten lots of food before in one sitting without getting sick. Like, I love pizza, that's my favorite food, and there have been times where I've eaten 3,000 calories of pizza in one sitting. So I looked at the jug, and it said, 2,400 calories in the bottle. I thought, oh, this will be easy. This will be just like eating a pizza. And it wasn't. It was very painful.
Got it. Okay.
But,
you made it through?
Yeah.
Okay. How old are you?
29.
Okay. What do you think of the house so far?
It's fun. I like the people here.
Would you say that you love them?
That's a very strong word for...
I've heard that from, I think, 3 people. I think they said they love everybody. And I said that's a very strong word.
I very much like...
I very much like them. Tell us about yourself. Where are you from? What are your hopes and dreams? What do you do with your time? Let's start with where you're from.
Well, that's a complicated question because I've lived in a bunch of places. I live in Ohio right now. I don't think of myself as being of any particular regional background in terms of shaping my upbringing. From my perspective, my upbringing was changed by... my upbringing was influenced by the internet. I was part of the first generation to be raised on the internet. I mean, mobile devices didn't exist until I was in middle school, but I was using a desktop to post on Neopets from age 6. So that's what I think of as my real background. Whenever people give me multi-step instructions, I tend to only remember the first. So.
Take us through the upbringing. So you started with Neopets. What happens after that?
Okay, so my childhood, I grew up in rural West Virginia, and I didn't know how to interact with people. I didn't understand people, so I retreated into the internet. I wasn't around people that I knew how to connect with until I was about 15, and I moved to a majority Jewish neighborhood in Massachusetts. And at that point, it was like I was learning how to socialize from a very... Sorry, I'm tired, but I was learning how to socialize about 10 years later at least than other people started. Like I was starting from, from like being a small child, but I was a teenager. I am autistic. I am diagnosed with autism, and I have a genuine affinity for cartoons and musicals, but as a kid, those were the only kinds of things I could watch because I couldn't read human body language well enough to understand the inferences that you're supposed to make when watching dramas or sitcoms with real people. I remember I was watching Pulp Fiction for the first time, and I was 14 or 15, and there's this long scene where a gangster is dancing with the boss, the mafia boss's wife, and it's very awkward and slow, and I had no idea what was going on. And then the gangster gets home and he's talking to himself in the bathroom. He's like, "Okay, it's okay. Just masturbate and it'll all be over." I'm like, "What? What the hell is he talking about?" And so I went to my friend from school who told me to watch Pulp Fiction, and I said, what the hell was that scene about? Why was there that slow dance?" And he says, "It'll develop sexual tension." I said, "Wait, he was attracted to her? I didn't pick up on that." But most audience members can figure that out from the guy's body language. I mean, so that's why I grew up mostly watching stuff where there are no inferences to be made. People say exactly what they're thinking, and I still watch. I still love musical theater. I still love cartoons. But when I was a kid, that was literally the only kind of storytelling I understood. So that's my background. I interacted with people online because it was easier.
What's the first thing you found on the computer that was like a community or something fun? Was it Neopets?
Yeah.
How old were you when you did that?
I was 6.
So you did Neopets from age 6 to what? What age did you kind of drop off and move on to the next thing?
I think I was maybe 8 when I started playing a game called Toontown, which was this like Disney's version of World of Warcraft.
Yep. Toontown from age 8 to what?
12, I think.
And then 12, what happens? What do you find?
Thinking about my childhood in this detail is actually kind of embarrassing because I did a lot of embarrassing things as a kid online. But I don't know how I ended up on forums. I think I was originally on forums for discussing the games I was playing, and then I went to forums that were dedicated to talking about movies and TV. Mm-hmm. By the time I was in high school, the whole world was online. It wasn't a weird thing anymore. But also, by the time I was my second year of high school, I was in an environment where I felt comfortable talking to people, and that's when I started learning how to talk to people. I used to be very optimistic about my future because I'm a reasonably intelligent person. I'm not a genius or anything, but I'm not an idiot. But I've figured out that I am not capable of doing most jobs, or at least most jobs that I've tried, most jobs people recommend you try. And I was diagnosed at a young age with autism and ADHD. But there's a word I only learned, I know self-diagnosis is frowned upon, but there's a word I only learned about a year ago called dyspraxia. I learned it online researching my symptoms. I realized it describes me perfectly. And I've asked psychologists and neuropsychologists and neurologists, and what they've all told me is, you have symptoms of dyspraxia, but we don't feel comfortable diagnosing it in an adult, because it's usually diagnosed in childhood. Well, I mean, I've had these symptoms since childhood.
What's dyspraxia?
It's hard. It's it's a processing disorder that mostly impacts spatial reasoning. So I don't tie my shoes, for example. I don't tie my shoes. I have them in a loose knot so I can slip them on, but I can't tie them. Mm-hmm. I can't shave with a manual razor. I have to use an electric one. Mm-hmm. I can't cut meat. I can cut bread, but I cannot cut meat. Mm-hmm. And this might not sound like such a big deal, but there are things that that people take for granted that either I can't do, or I can't do at the same pace as everyone else. Like I had a job as an administrative assistant for a while, for 2 months, and I was doing paperwork, physical paperwork, and they were telling me I was going too slow. So I sped up, and I was making mistakes, and they said, "Hey, you're making mistakes." I slowed down. They said I needed to work fast without making mistakes, and I couldn't do that, so they fired me. Mm-hmm. I went to college for a liberal arts degree, thinking that, this piece of paper will show that I'm not stupid. It won't show that I'm good at any particular thing, but it'll show that I'm not stupid. Mm-hmm. And I thought that would help me in the job market, but it didn't. Mm-hmm. And so after getting a 4-year degree, I went to trade school to learn to be a computer technician. Mm-hmm. And I passed all their, computer tests on what does this part of the computer do. But I got fired after 2 days in an actual PC building factory. Mm-hmm. So my dream is, I remember you actually did a video once where you were talking about how something everyone should strive for is to have a thing that they're good at, and they could say, "This is my thing. I do this," and that's actually a good example of the kind of thing that I dreamed of. I was telling Daniel earlier that my fictional hero is SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob works at a fast food place, which is considered a low status job, mm-hmm. but he is good at it and he enjoys it, and that mm-hmm. gives him meaning. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to find something that I was good at, and good enough that I don't necessarily need to make a lot of money, but good enough that I never worry that I'm going to be chronically unemployed. Things have not been going well for me, and a few years ago I never would have agreed to be on this show, even though it looks fun, because I think I'll humiliate myself and I won't be able to get a job because no one will take me seriously, or they'll think I'm a freak, or blah blah blah. But I'm at a point in my life now where even though I haven't given up on finding my place, I feel like the odds are so low at this point that I have more to gain than I have to lose. So sorry for being a downer. I'm sure you want something more positive, but I'm kind of torn because I was given a total of 700 fish bucks today. I won 600 and someone gave me 700. Then I gave 500 of them away because I like the people here. And well, 400 because 100 because I didn't feel like taking his money. It didn't feel right. 300 because I like the people here, and 100 because I didn't want to clean and I wanted the other guy to clean. Point is, I'm giving away the money. And it's like, this isn't smart. This isn't what a smart person would do. A smart person would try to hold on to the money. But it doesn't... I'm not approaching this like a money-making opportunity. I'm approaching this like a game that I'm here to have fun and enjoy. And I don't know if that's the smart way to do it, but that is how I'm doing it. I don't know if the grand prize really is $8,000 because, no offense, but you are a notorious provocateur and troll. The way I described going on this show to my family is that this is the only chance I'll ever get to be Elmer Fudd in a Bugs Bunny cartoon. You are Bugs Bunny in this analogy.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's actually $8,000 or if it's significantly more. The plan I have, if the grand prize is $8,000 and I win it, is to buy a car. That's most of the way towards buying a car. And a car would, it wouldn't guarantee employability, but it would increase the odds of me being gainfully employed. At the very least, I'd be able to work as an Uber driver, which is not something I can currently do.
Can you drive?
I have a license.
Can you drive?
Well, yes.
Okay.
I can't parallel park though.
I got you. Okay.
And I have had one road accident and multiple parking lot accidents.
Nice.
Yeah, in my family's car.
Gotcha. Okay.
The naive hope, I see naive is that the grand prize is that, well, it's not naive, I think it's a realistic hope. Why am I calling it naive? Is that the actual prize is $30,000 to $50,000 like in previous seasons. If I were to win that much money, the plan would be to buy a third of a Bitcoin. So let's say Bitcoin's never really gone down in value. The worst case scenario is that it doesn't go up, and I'm just stuck with whatever I invested. But the best case scenario is that it does another 10x. If I were to invest $30,000 in Bitcoin, and then it did 10x, that's $300,000. That's enough to buy a house. That's something that I never thought I'd be able to own. But if I come here thinking about money, I'm not going to enjoy it. So I'm thinking about having fun. At the end of the day, I thought, aside from the milk pain, this was a very good day. I don't know if I should be giving away money the way I gave it away today. So I'm not saying I won't do that in the future. I'm saying I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay. In the house we got Daniel, Rachel, Freddie, Ellie, Angelina, Jen. That's 6. Who's the last person that I'm forgetting?
Did you say Jin?
Jin.
Jin, Angelina, Freddie.
Oh,
Ellie.
Derench. I got everybody. Okay, that's it. Thank you for having this talk. Let's get out of here.
Thank you.
Rah.